Welcome to our 10th podcast titled Champions of Hope and Leadership. I am Ben Kirby, Superintendent of Lake Orion Community Schools. The inspiration for this podcast comes from the amazing people that have shaped me, inspired me, and given me hope as I have navigated my career as an educator. And more importantly, the people who I have witnessed be champions of hope and leadership for the tens of thousands of students and adults that I have crossed paths with throughout my life. Today on this episode, in our 10th episode, our champion of hope is Lauren Smith. Lauren Smith is a champion for the students at Lake Orion Community Schools, and specifically our Paint Creek Elementary School in her 32nd year in education. She's been with the district since 2005. She joined the Dragon team at our Learning Options program. She has proven that she is a champion of hope for many, and I look forward to our conversation. Ms. Smith, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, when you think about our podcast title, Champions of Hope, what comes to mind for you with the work that you have undertaken in your career?
I think when we are thinking about champions of hope, I think it's about in school systems, we can get really caught up in the academic component and the academic aspect. And I think we do such an amazing job in Lake Orion at looking at the whole student, the whole child. What do they need socially? What do they need emotionally? What types of supports can we put in place? And that could be in the school setting and outside of the school setting in the neighborhoods and in the communities as well. It's just that well-rounded approach hitting all aspects that kids need to be successful.
Yeah, you're spot on for sure. I think that, like you said, Lake Orion does an amazing job at it. Many school districts really focus on that whole child, and it's really made a difference, especially the last few years. It's just been a tremendous need for sure. So you recently received some recognition from a county-wide organization. Could you explain to our listeners the purpose of the organization that recognized you and your involvement with them?
Yes, I serve on the board for Orion Area Youth Assistance, which is a prevention-based organization. I had previously served on the North Oakland Community Coalition for Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention many years ago. But the award was Champions of Youth. It was awarded through the Oakland County Youth Assistance Program, which is really sponsored by the 52nd 3rd Court Division. They do provide counselors within all of our school districts within the 28 school districts within Oakland County, and it's all prevention-based. What can we do to help keep kids out of the court system or to help get them the needs and supports for their families so they can grow healthier and stronger? It was a wonderful honor. It was, I think, due to some of the work on the board, but also some of the work through Lake Orion Community Schools, which I treasure and value that opportunity to do each day.
Yeah, for sure. And as you said, you serve that organization, and what a great great purpose to try to keep kids out of the court system. So, what are some of the things that that this organization would address to divert? Like, what types of behaviors and those kinds of things do they address?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of prevention that can be done with substance abuse, like early intervention and education for students. With our counselor, we can do referrals within our schools, all of our schools in Lake Orion, and they can get access to the counselor to work on personal issues that a student might be struggling with or that a family might be struggling with. One of the focuses that I love that they have greatly embraced is our really early intervention in our elementary schools. We're kicking off some things with no vaping in our schools, and that is trickling down into elementaries
Sure.
as we're finding kids that are younger and younger having access to those items without really the knowledge of what happens. But probably one of the biggest things is we do a lot of scholarships for students, some driver's ed scholarships, camp scholarships, and of course our SPLAT program has been an amazing focus of our Orion Area Youth Assistance in partnership with Lake Orion Community Schools.
Yeah. So when I hear SPLAT, I don't think of an educational program. I think the result of a fly when I hit it with a fly swatter. But what does SPLAT mean?
Well,
Tell us about that.
SPLAT stands for Study, Play, Learn, and Talk. And within Paint Creek Elementary, we really noticed that we had some students that were from communities where our kids really could not access our traditional summer school programs in Lake Orion. So SPLAT was born in about the year 2014-15, where we took our teaching team into the community. And we happen to serve a couple of communities in North Orion right now, North Lake Orion. And it's where kids can walk or bike to the program. And we take care of breakfast, we take care of lunch. We have a really nice kind of welcome and slow start to the day. And then we hit about 2 hours of academics because we are growing academic learners. But we also wanted to provide a camp like experience. Some of these students don't have access to some of the community programs within Lake Orion, maybe through community ed. They really haven't been out to the local farms or to the orchards. And we really wanted to give them that camp experience. So we really worked to create this day that is taking care of food needs, it's taking care of academic needs, it's taking care of social needs. We have an emotional component to our SEL programming, our social emotional learning. And then we get to have a lot of fun with really local field trips where our kids haven't experienced that before. So it's a beautiful, amazing program.
Sure. So, and I think I heard you say, just for the clarification of learners, you actually go into the community. So you and your staff actually go to where these individuals live and go to their community centers and central areas so that it's
Yes.
easy for them, right?
Yes, we are actually based out of one of the local community centers. So it's really neat to see the kids walk up and then they start running because our teachers are there, or they come in and they've got things to share from the night before that maybe these students weren't the ones that would feel comfortable sharing that in their classroom or while they're at Paint Creek. And the relationships and the connections that are built there last. They're long lasting. They go from the summer and into the fall. We have kids that are really able to demonstrate more knowledge and learning and take risk with their learning and take risk with their peers and building friendships and connections. And as our staff has talked about, it's about really removing barriers. Transportation is a barrier
For sure.
sometimes. A bus stop in one of our communities is way up at the front, and that removes that. We don't have to worry about catching a bus. If they're a few minutes late, they still come on in. And then having access to community resources, such as the field trips. Our community has been beautiful, and our community sponsors. It's really just been an amazing program that's very well rounded to meet learners and families where they're at.
Yeah, it's definitely making a difference. I've obviously know a little bit about it from just from working here, but also from working here, I have a responsibility to oversee budgets, dollars, and things like that. This type of program doesn't come free to those that are putting it on. Certainly, those that are participating in it, they're not really getting any cost. So, how is that being paid for?
Well, we're really creative. So we work with Orion Area Youth Assistance. We've had a couple of private donations. And then Orion Area Youth Assistance, our board has applied for several grants. We've made it to the final competition in several of those, and we've been
Great.
awarded several of those
Great.
grants. So we actually have secured enough funding to be able to expand SPLAT into other communities this
Oh, wow.
coming summer.
Okay.
I think it's really important to note too, like the meals that are provided. We work so closely with Meijer and Kroger and Sam's Club and Costco and all of these small and large agencies or stores that will
Hmm.
help provide necessary food. And then we do use some of that grant funding for our food and our transportation to get to those field trips. Even the local field trips, they always work out a great deal for us.
Hmm.
So it's really not using school district dollars to be able to support what we need for kids in this community during those summer months.
Yeah, you and your team definitely are creative and trying to find that funding. We appreciate your commitment to that. The expansion that you talked about, is that still in the planning stages, or do you guys have some end results? You know what you're going to be doing, or
Well,
where's that stand?
we know that we are expanding. We're going to pick up another community. It will not be a community connected to Paint Creek.
Okay.
There are two schools that we are working with right now to narrow down which school will we be able to service the most students and provide these opportunities for. So we're working closely with the principals out of those buildings. We expect to make a decision in early January, and then we will start building that teaching team and social work team for that new community that we're bringing on board in coordination with Lake Orion Community Schools, working closely with Carrie Anderson, our curriculum director, and with Heidi Mercer, our assistant superintendent of teaching and learning, because we need to make sure that we're still aligning with the district, even though we have an all-encompassing program. that's funded outside of what we would normally do in our district.
Yeah. So when you talk about expanding communities, so would these still be Lake Orion Community Schools students, or are these other school district communities?
These would absolutely be Lake Orion students
Okay.
that are currently attending one of our 6 elementary buildings.
Yeah, great. And I believe I heard, and I don't remember which district it was, but when I was at that, your celebration for you when you received the Champion of Youth Award for 2023, there was another school district that was inspired by your work and is looking to do
Yes.
something similar to Splat. Were you
Yes.
approached about that?
I have been. I've had 3 of the school districts within Oakland County reach out to just kind of get the gist of how we got this started,
Yeah.
the work that we've done. How could they partner with local community agencies? Because it is about those community partnerships that has really helped bring it to fruition.
Hmm.
And now we're feeling that Splat will be something that continues for many years.
Hmm.
It's gaining in community recognition in the sense of people are aware of it. We're getting more donors that want to come forward. Even if it's small donors, every bit makes a difference. And I think we're a terribly creative team. So we're going to make every dollar stretch to do what's right for kids.
Yeah. So if somebody has a donation or wants to contribute, how do they go about doing that?
They can actually go to the Orion Area Youth Assistance website, and there is a donation button there. They can designate their donation to Splat, and then all of those funds will be used to directly impact students who attend Splat either through Paint Creek Elementary or through our site that we're expanding to.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Obviously, making a huge difference, and it's something that will not only academically help, but create memories for children that they perhaps wouldn't have.
Yes.
And you talked a lot about the community and being able to go to some of the places in the community. You call them field trips. What are a couple places that the students might experience?
Well, their favorite one was going to the high school pool,
Okay.
which was great. And we're like, oh, we're going to go swimming. And we kept debating about lakes. And then we're like, oh, we really want those lifeguards there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to work with Lake Orion High School to secure the pool. We've been out to Addison Oaks and we've done the pedal boats and played in the park there. We have been out to the farm, and I'm going to forget the name right now.
That's all right. We
But
know it's on a farm.
but the kids have loved it. We went on a hayride. They got to see animals. We're in petting the goats and milking cows. We've been to orchards. We feel like we've kind of been all over the place.
Yeah.
Our structure is really to hit those academics hard, hit that social emotional learning, build those connections, keep the kids motivated to come, and then our field trips are on Thursdays.
Awesome.
And that gets them really excited as we pump those field trips throughout the week. So it's really exciting to be
Yeah.
here. So.
Well, you certainly deserve the honor that you received, and very proud of you, and appreciate all the work that you do here at Lake Orion Community Schools. And I suspect you probably could talk for a long time about the SPLAT program. I'm going to move us forward a little bit about your career. How has your career evolved? Like, where did it start when you started out in education?
I actually graduated from Central Michigan a long time ago
Right.
and started in a small town by Saginaw called Carlton, Michigan. My background is for a teacher for students with emotional impairment and have loved that career. Due to a husband's job transfer, I went through Dayton and Cincinnati in Ohio, worked at what we would consider an orphanage, a boys' home in downtown Dayton, and a juvenile facility, which was a really interesting experiences. And then spent quite a few years in Minnesota, most of those at St. Paul, Minnesota. My background has always been secondary, and then did some work as an administrator on special assignment with the high school special education programs and alternative ed programs, really helping to bridge the gap between the two. Which was a hefty job. There was a lot
Sure.
going on in St.
Yeah.
Paul. And then when we came back here, I was able to take over the alternative ed program, which I love dearly and loved working at the high school. And then decided to branch out into elementary. And I've been at Paint Creek for 16 years and love the work I get to do every day.
Yeah. So how long were you at our Learning Options program?
I was there for 3 years. When I came into the district, they were really debating. They had hired me on a 1-year contract without a renewal. and they had said, we're going to disband this program. And there was just such a need for it. Kids that just weren't making it at the high school, our large high
Right.
school, we needed to have that smaller setting. And I think that's another piece of the advocacy work that I've been able to do, is to bring some of the data that showed, look at how many kids we were able to graduate
Hmm.
that have now moved on with high school diplomas. And that program is still running very strong today. And I greatly appreciate the district's commitment to the students that may not fit that traditional model of a large high school and 7 classes a day and some of those other components. So I'm glad to see that program still there.
Yeah, it definitely is still there. I was just there the other day, and one of the things that's unique for a secondary program is just how tight knit and close
Mm-hmm.
the staff is with the students, and the
Mm-hmm.
staff with the staff. It feels very much like an elementary in that respect, as far as it being a tight knit family. Obviously, as you get a larger high school, 2,200 kids, there's a lot of departmentalization and those kinds of things.
Yes.
But definitely, there is a need in most communities for some sort of an alternative type of
Mm-hmm.
setting for education. So now, Splat certainly was I'm sure, a highlight in your career. Do you have any others that stick out in your mind that you are really proud of, or anything that remember that you're like, wow, that really made a difference?
Probably in my first job, which was a long time ago, in Carlton, I was a teacher for students with emotional impairments in a county-wide program. So the kids were coming from all over Saginaw
Okay,
and that area. And that program had been in existence, but it had really struggled and floundered. And it really wasn't where you would want your programming to be for students, right? And I come in as this new teacher, and I have these all boys at this time,
okay,
and we're trying to get paraprofessionals to come in, and some kids are bringing some behaviors to school even at that
sure,
time that were not safe behaviors. And I was only there 2 years. I was able to bring that program around, introduce some things with some support, certainly not by myself. I had a co-teacher for it for another classroom. And at the end of that, I received an award, their Crystal Apple Award, through Saginaw,
awesome,
which was really an honor. And a
yeah,
student and family had nominated me. And, to this day, I still have those kids that are now like grown men that
right,
like invite me to their weddings
oh,
and send me
nice.
pictures of their babies. And so I feel really good about all of the work. And I'm really proud of that, really proud of that. Um, that my career has really allowed me to give so much to so many different communities and
Yeah.
students and families.
Yeah, I'm proud you should be. And our profession is an odd one in the respect that we don't get a lot of immediate gratification,
Right.
and sometimes it's until they become grown adults and you see them again and they
Yes.
include you in their life that you really realize the difference
Yes.
you made. But congratulations to you. I know there's some organizations that you've worked in or worked with. I know you said NOCC, Orion Area Youth Assistance. Both of those really support students in the community, families in the community. So you're very much a driven individual to
Hmm.
support people. And even as our listeners listen to you talk, the way you phrase things, it's all about putting others first. And that's a lot about servant leadership and those kinds of things. And I appreciate that. And what drives you to be in a leadership position?
Honestly, I never saw myself when I started my career ever leaving the classroom. And I think by a fluke, when I interviewed for St. Paul schools, I had worked at a smaller district, a little south or downriver, and there just wasn't a lot of diversity. And I felt like I needed that in my career. I had come from Saginaw, where there was a little bit more diversity. Dayton certainly had a lot more diversity, and I was missing that. So when I applied for St. Paul Public Schools as a teacher, and I was really excited about the call back, and I was getting these interviews, they talked to me about administration. And they put me, I was not supervising an entire elementary, but I was supervising a wing of a building that had
Okay.
been designated for students with autism and students who had emotional impairments that were really not being able to have their needs met in traditional schools. And that started that and then kind of moved up through the ranks. What I think I love about leadership is how I can impact kids, but even more so, the culture of your school is built around the adults. And being that leader in the adult, I have some pretty high expectations about how we treat kids and families, and how our school is going to run. We are a heavy duty academic place, but we are taking care of kids and all of those needs. And we also need to have a lot of fun, right?
Sure.
If we're not having fun, it's not good for anyone. So
Right.
I love being able to coach new teachers and talk with teachers about, here's a problem that I see. Come brainstorm with me. Let's figure this out, whether it's a classroom problem or a building issue, or how could we enhance this. So,
Yeah, for sure. And the fun part doesn't just include kids. The adults who really need that too, to
absolutely.
continue to flourish. So, who's a person in your life, if there was one, that really gave you hope as you were developing into the person that you are today?
Oh my gosh. I think my parents, right? Everybody
Right.
would say that. I think some amazing teachers that I've met along the way. Um, let's see, Heidi Mercer, I think, is extremely inspirational within our district.
Yeah.
If people do not know the work that Heidi has done, and she's kind of a behind the scenes person, she is tenacious and on it and hardworking and caring and supportive. I think that she often does not get recognized in the way that she needs to. Teachers that I've worked with that I've learned from, parents. I think parents that have really overcome things or challenges that maybe none of us have really experienced, but yet they're still there doing what's right for their kids. So
Yeah.
lots
Awesome.
and lots of people.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of people, and certainly, some of those I interact with. Heidi's certainly somebody I interact with on a daily basis, and yes, she is tenacious, and yes, she does have her hands in well, just about everything,
Yep.
and does a great job with things. And
She
to know
does.
Heidi's on it is to know that it's going to get done and get done
Right.
well. And you'll probably hear Heidi on one of these podcasts real soon. She too
Great.
was recognized for some great
Yes,
work
she
that
was.
she's been doing. So.
Yes.
So you work a lot, you work hard, you make a difference,
Hmm.
but it's not always about school
Right.
and children. What are some things that you do to keep yourself busy outside of school?
Well, I have two adult children. My son Ryan is in his first year of teaching, so although he is about 2 hours away from Lake Orion right now and loving his new career,
Great.
there's lots of conversations about this happened today. What should I have done with this? Or
Oh, how nice.
just
Yeah.
some of the fun things that he's learning about high school kids, freshmen, and what his role really looks like and how he can bring even more into his classroom and school. My daughter is in grad school at Central Michigan, so I get to go to a lot of Central Michigan games and
Fire up
hang
chips,
out with
right?
her, fire up chips. And then I love to do a lot of woodworking and home projects. That is, I think because you see the immediate results. So those are a lot of the fun things I like to do, and friends and family and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you
So,
probably could talk about it for a long time, but
yeah.
like, what's the last woodworking project or home improvement project that you did? If you don't mind me
I
asking.
don't at all. Well, in 4 days, I put in hardwood floors in my
Oh,
living
wow.
room. It's a really big space because it's a living room, dining room, and
Sure.
I just decided that's what I wanted, and I had it delivered, and then just got to it and got it done, and the
Look
trim's
at
all
you.
done, and it's beautiful, and I love it.
That's
So
awesome.
it's great.
That's
Thank
all
you.
good. So quarter round and trim both. Is that how that
Oh
works?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah.
can talk about that
Yeah, I
sometime.
bet. I bet. And you have all the
Yeah,
tools for that. That's
I have
always
all the
important,
tools
right?
for it. My neighbors are always borrowing my tools.
Yeah, you got to have tools and courage, right?
Courage. Yep.
Right. Well, you mentioned a lot of different champions of hope, and I really appreciate it. You certainly are a champion of hope for many, and we appreciate everything that you do in the schools. So we really thank you for your contributions to our school community. Many thanks to your children, Ryan and Reagan, for sharing you with our students and community. You make a tremendous difference and certainly are a champion of hope to many. We look forward to bringing another guest next month as we highlight another difference maker. Thank you for listening today. I challenge our listeners to be that champion of hope for somebody, anybody. Go Dragons.